So now let's move on to the night games. Who are you taking today? Is it Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals or Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns?
I don't believe in Baker Mayfield. I think the Browns are another disaster of an organization. Look, you just keep bringing up these points and reminding me of fantasy buffs. How about Odell Beckham Jr. week one? Jarvis Landry week one as well. I love Joe Burrow. I think he is one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in most recent history in college history, in college football. I think he is something. Look, he got drafted by the Bengals, so I immediately would think he's just going to have an atrocious career because of who the Bengals are. They're known to not develop players to run careers into the ground like AJ Green. But I loved what I saw in him last year. He's a local kid from Ohio. I think he'll have much success there. And I like Joe Burrow. I think he'll have the upside. If there's whoever, I think Joe Burrow has the bigger ceiling than Baker Mayfield. I don't see Baker Mayfield. I see the same Baker Mayfield we've seen over the past few years. A lot of hollow bravado, a lot of brashiness, tough talk. But when it comes down to it, he just can't perform. And he's got so many weapons around him, from the tight end David Njoku to Jarvis Landry to Odell Beckham Jr. to a great running game, and he just can't find a way. So I'd have to take the Bengals and the rookie Joe Burrow out of LSU.
I think it can. I think it can go either way. I did last podcast I did do a hot take, and I said that Baker Mayfield would end up as a top 3 quarterback. And look, I still kind of believe in him because you have to remember he played Baltimore. I mean, I don't think anyone was expecting him to have like a huge game. But like you said, he has weapons all around him. Jarvis Landry, Odell, which by the way, I think he's the most overrated player in the NFL. Not buying it.
Fair.
He has David Njoku, Austin Hooper, Nick Chubb.
From the U. David Njoku from the U.
And Kareem Hunt. You have to remember, he has Steven Stefanski, and he helped Kirk Cousins kind of like turn around. So I still kind of believe in him, but it can go both ways. Cincinnati, I'm hoping Joe Mixon has a huge game because I have him on fantasy. But I think it can go either way. I like Joe Burrow a lot. I did consider him as a boomer bust. I mean, I like both teams. I think the Bengals are going to prove a lot of the haters, I guess you can call them, wrong. I think they have a winning season, maybe 9-7. So now let's go into Seattle and New England. Who you have?
This is a tough matchup. As we've mentioned numerous times throughout this segment, being a Buffalo Bill fan, I don't bet against Bill Belichick. I've learned my lesson. It's been 20 plus years of having to endure what it is the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick, and it hasn't favored well for if you're a Buffalo Bills fan or any fan of the AFC East, whether you're Jets, Dolphins, or Bills. You learn and know the importance of a Bill Belichick coach team, whether you're on the road or at home. With all that said, I think Seattle Seahawks take the game for the first time, and let this sink in. For the first time in 64 regular season games, the New England Patriots will be an underdog heading into any week. Not home or away, just in any game period. For the first time in 64 games. Again, there's only 17 games in a season, and we're talking about 64 games for the first time, the New England Patriots being underdogs. I think there's a reason for that. I think Russell Wilson, as we alluded to earlier and we mentioned, 2-0 against Bill Belichick. In addition to that, I think they have much success. He has Russell Wilson has a quarterback rating since they started being measured by the NFL and taken into account no less than 92.4 quarterback rating against Bill Belichick. It is the highest quarterback rating against Bill Belichick since 2006, and it's just even in the Super Bowl loss, Russell Wilson had a quarterback rating of better than 92, and it's the best quarterback rating of any quarterback losing in a postseason since '06. So it's just a lot of things are adding up to favoring Seattle, and I think there's a big reason for it. I think New England goes on the road and loses to the Seattle Seahawks. I'm big on Seattle this year. I think they have an advantage in that division. I don't think San Francisco was a fluke. I think they are set for the future, and they do have the right team in place. But I think people have forgotten about how good Russell Wilson is. And Pete Carroll, he's a hell of a coach. I think he's up there. I used to love him at USC. He may not have had the success with the New York Jets his first go around. But I like Seattle. And I like Seattle this game this week. And most importantly, they have 4 players on their roster from the University of Miami: Travis Homer, DJ Dallas, Philip Dorsett, and Greg Olsen, all from the University of Miami. So I'm going to take Seattle this one.
I do have Seattle for this one too. Like I said, it can go either way. Cam Newton can come out here and surprise everyone. It's Bill Belichick's his coach. I think with Mike Daniels as his offensive coordinator, he finally gets to run those RPOs, those read options, QB draws, all of that. So I think it can go either way. I have Seattle. I just think it's a better overall roster. I think if the Pats had the defense that they had last year, I would have had Seattle. The Pats taking this. But I have Seattle. They're at home. It's just they have more, maybe a better roster.
Yeah, and they're more familiar with that roster. There's a lot of players that have been playing together for a long time. Their defense only got better. So, look, Cam Newton had a great week 1. Was not just once, but twice clocked at 19 miles per hour. You're talking about a man that weighs 243 pounds running 19 miles per hour. Not even Lamar Jackson was clocked at 19 miles per hour in week 1. So you're talking about a guy that's mobile and can throw the ball. Cam Newton 3 times in his career, over 3,500 yards in a season, over 500 rushing yards, 3 different times. So they can get it done. You can't count out Bill Belichick. I'm not telling you Seattle's going to run away with this game, but for one game, I think Seattle is going to be able to pull it off. I think they have the game plan. They're very familiar with each other, and the benefit of being at home, when you got to travel across the country, I don't care who you are, that sets in on you. It's jet lag. It's a Sunday night game. Seattle will be up for it. The 12th man will be supporting in any way they can. I know there's limited access to or entrances to the stadium, but I feel strong about Seattle in week 2 up against the New England Patriots.
Oh yeah, I am expecting a monster season from DK Metcalf. I think he's a stud. I love that guy. He's big, he's fast, he has good hands. I love him. I think he's going to be a huge problem.
He's what you would love your ideal, your number 1 wide receiver to look like. That's what you had hopes for in a Devontae Parker, that big wide receiver that can outmuscle, those defensive backs, those little short defensive backs that are 5'9", 5'11". You would like that big wide receiver to go up there and grab the ball. It's what we were expecting as a Dolphins fan from Devontae Parker, and we're yet to see. But yeah, man, that Seattle Seahawks offense matches up well with anyone in the league. I don't care what defense you put up in front of them. And in practice, they get to go up against one of the top 5 defenses in the league after week 1. I think it's just a great matchup. I like Seattle, and I have high hopes for them coming out of the NFC this year.
I do. All right, now let's see. Give me 2 Super Bowl contenders for the AFC and the NFC.
Super Bowl contenders for the AFC. I think Lamar Jackson and his Baltimore Ravens finally get over the hump, and I think they defeat the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And I like Lamar Jackson to take his team and play in the Super Bowl, taking the Baltimore Ravens back to the Super Bowl. And in the NFC, before week 1, I would have chosen the Dallas Cowboys. I was high on Dallas. Since it's week 2, I have changed that pick, and I'll stick with the more common, pick out of the NFC with the New Orleans Saints. So I would have to say Ravens Saints in the Super Bowl. If after week 1, if I was, forced to make a decision, and I get the benefit of seeing what occurred in week 1, I would say Ravens Saints for my Super Bowl prediction.
Like I said, I had Dallas, then I hesitated. But I like I said, they should have won that game. So
Yeah.
keeping Dallas in the NFC, I think they have a great roster all around. Leighton Vander Esch with the collarbone fracture. I don't know if that's going to affect them a lot.
That's why I'm hesitant to look. I agree with you, and I love Dallas. I think Dallas can still make a run, but it was just way too many injuries for week 1. I wasn't impressed with the O-line, and just the defense is still just showing signs of mediocrity. I would like for them to take a bigger step, and they had so many injuries on that defense after week 1, so I'm a little hesitant. But yeah, originally that was my pick. I thought Dallas would come out of the NFC and shock the world, who was ready to crown either the Saints or Bucks as the eventual Super Bowl contenders coming out of the NFC, I should say.
My second team for the NFC, it's New Orleans. I don't think the chances are extremely low that they get another controversial call. Like, they're the best. They have the best roster in the NFL. Nothing's going to stop them. Maybe Michael Thomas, but I don't know how much he's going to miss. But I don't think they'll miss him that much. They have Emmanuel Sanders. They have Jared Cook, Alvin Kamara. We saw Latavius Murray do pretty well. I mean, they have a great roster. I think that's my second team for the NFC. Give me your second team for the NFC.
Second team, I'll stick with my original pick. I'll stick with Dallas. I think I don't think the Bucks are gonna get as far as people thought. I'm not sold on it. I've seen this story before. I remember when the Philadelphia Eagles put a bunch of star players together and Vince Young called them the dream team. I just don't think football is like that. I don't think football meshes that well with so many star players. Remember, we saw Randy Moss and Tom Brady pair up together, and they went undefeated in the regular season, but somehow find a way to lose in the Super Bowl. So I would have to stick with Dallas. I think Dallas is set for a year. I think they have all the right pieces on the offensive side, and if their defense can match up with how well their offense plays, I think they should have an easy formula to getting to the playoffs and hopefully representing. Look, I had to stick with the Saints because of it's just the coaching staff and Drew Brees, and then all the weapons around them, and that defense is solid too. So Saints or Cowboys coming out of the NFC and AFC. I mentioned the Ravens, and I guess the safest pick is betting on Patrick Mahomes again. A lot of people want to say he's the greatest quarterback of all time after just 3 years, but it's just a really good team. I think they're really well stacked. I love Edwards, coming out of LSU. I think he's a great running back. He showed that in week 1 last Thursday, going up against the Texans and having major success as a rookie in game 1. It's just there's so many weapons on Kansas City, and that's not a bad defense either. Let's not forget, everybody loves the offense and digs the deep passes and the quarterbacks, but that's a really good defense that has been put together in Kansas City by Andy Reid. So I would have to, the AFC picks are not that sexy because they're two favorites, the Ravens and Chiefs. It's a little more controversial in the NFC when you decide to take Dallas. But those are the 4 teams that I would have to go with after week 2.
Like I said, obviously you can't count out Patrick Mahomes, so that's going to be a safe pick. But I think if Big Ben steps it up, I have the Steelers. I think they may be the best defense in the NFL. I think Earl Thomas can at the end of the day hurt. Earl Thomas leaving can hurt the Baltimore. I think that that Steelers defense it's not fun to play against. You saw that again against the Giants. I think they do have the best defense.
And I love Mike Tomlin. I think he is. If you need to choose one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL, is Mike Tomlin. The man does wonders with no one. Even last year, I remember they were in the playoff running late into the season when they had that Sunday night game against the Buffalo Bills. Mike Tomlin does not get enough praise. And Ben Roethlisberger might be a little underrated too. He's a hell of a damn quarterback. And that defense, as you mentioned, is stacked. I think they have all the right pieces around Ben Roethlisberger. If he can keep his interceptions down, you may be on to something with that pick as a sleeper in the AFC.
I love them. Big Ben was a little bit off, but it's normal. First game back, that shoulder. So
yeah, missed a lot of time.
Yeah, I do think that Benny Snell's gonna end up taking the starting running back role. I think he did. I mean, he came in and maybe
that's a bold prediction by you. That's a big prediction. I'd like to see how that pans out.
What quarter did he come in? Like when James Conner was out, second, third.
Yeah. Yep.
He's third in rushing yards, and he missed the whole quarter. Like imagine what he would have done as the start of the whole game. So I think he's gonna end up starting. I don't know. I love that team. That division is a little bit strong, but I think they take it. I was wrong at drafting him. What can I say? I think he's gonna end up somewhere else, maybe in the next year. I don't like him as much.